Welcome
back to No Cap.
No Cap. What's going on? It's Sol. I'm here with the Bass.
What's going on, man?
It's happening. The other two, Tony's gone. Zach, mate, he's still missing.
MIA.
Might have the corona, man. I don't know. Let's get straight into it. It's a big weekend of footy. A lot of upsets on the weekend. I went pretty bad in tipping. How'd you go?
Yeah, pretty bad too. Probably would have been a great weekend for those punters out there that always go, with the non-favourites.
The flukes. Also, but more importantly, major injuries on the weekend to a lot of key players. Just top of my head, Mitchell Moses, Cameron Munster, Victor Radley, especially out for the season. It's going to be a bit of an effect on these teams. They're obviously contending the Roosters, Storm and the Eels. Who do you think's going to be worse off here?
Having a look at these, you're obviously going to think Parramatta and Melbourne are going to be a bit worse off just because you're losing halves, not losing a lock or a second row. Moses has been pretty vital for Parramatta, according to some people. At the end of the day, he's a halfback, so he's got to have some influence in the game. So I think Parramatta will miss him. And Munster, but they're only gone for a month, aren't they? Month to 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think Moses is up to a month.
It's a calf tear, right?
They say it's strain, so it might be less. But they're not going to give anything away there. And Munster's got I think it's a knee. I know he was out for 4 to 6 weeks, and Radley did his ACL, so he's gone for the year.
Yeah, Radley's gone for the year. He's a good player. He's a really, really good player. He's probably one of the first names picked on the Roosters team sheet every week. And the only difference is that they've got a big 4-pack, Roosters. So his injury might not be that detrimental to what the Roosters are doing, and we just know how good they're playing at the moment. And Parramatta are going to have probably a worse time at that. And I was just telling you before we started this that teams like Parramatta and Melbourne, with your halves missing 4 weeks without them, if that's 4 bad weeks and you lose 3 out of those 4, that's a bad patch, and it's going to be hard to recover even when they do come back from injury. So hate to see it.
Yeah, man, but I just confirm Munster it's a knee injury. I think it's MCL, so he's gone for 4 to 6 weeks. Also, I forgot the man of the hour, Corey Horsburgh. All right, the fiery redhead is gone for 3 months. I think that's a season. That's unfortunately, man.
Unfortunately, I do. Yeah, I feel slack for that bloke. He whoever's putting up images.
I like his passion. I like that he's like it means something to him.
Obviously, I mean the passion in the game is, and I felt like I felt it straight away as soon as he got a bit emotional. I felt that this was probably an injury that he knew was going to affect the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's what he was upset about,
and that's why he was. And people misinterpreted that, I think, on social media, and they just started giving it to him, which I was instantly upset about. I was just like, look, this guy's he's not a superstar of the game. He's one of those guys that's just tough. Plays the game because he loves it, and he obviously got injured and got himself emotional. Fans were giving him some tongue in cheek, and he.
It was those members up the top in the corporate boxes. They were giving him crap.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was justified because that's what he was angry about. He got upset because he got injured. He couldn't stay on.
Yeah.
That's what he got upset about.
Exactly. And look, I wish him a speedy recovery. I don't think he'll make it back this season. And next year, I hope he does come out and play well.
I can't wait till he versus Parramatta again.
Him against Ryan Madison. Huh?
They're gonna, he's gonna run straight at him. Oh, I swear he won't give a crap.
It's probably the best time. That's probably when footy is the best, isn't it? When 2 forwards are just going at each other.
Yeah, and there's something there. There's a story behind it. Yeah, Radley's injury, it's gonna be costly in a way to the Roosters. But man, last year Jake Friend was out for the whole year, pretty much till the GF, and they got by without him pretty well. I think the problem is they've lost their backup dummy half as well. So Radley was a dummy half or backup dummy, and they lost the actual backup dummy to ACL as well, Sam Verrills. So depth-wise, they might be tested.
Mitch Orbison can play a dummy, is that right?
Yeah, but
he'll do the job if need be.
They'll get someone. Apparently they're under the cap. They're $400K under the cap. How good is their management? Credit ridiculous. To them.
That's like, I feel like Roosters are playing with cheat codes,
man, they're doing everything by the book.
Unlimited salary cap. Fair play to them. You can't say they're over, but can sure
they're very good.
No, but like surely
professional, mate.
If they were
Professional.
because everybody's been saying they've been over the cap for about the last 2 decades, right?
It's a running joke.
It's a running joke, but if that was actually true, you know how hard it is to keep that under wraps?
Mate, they're not...
Something would have spilled over 20 years. That's why I don't think they're actually over the salary cap.
Mate, look what happened to the Dogs, Melbourne, Para.
Everyone gets caught at some point.
Para got caught and they won 3 wooden spoons in a row.
You just need one salty staff member, one salty player to blow up the whole party, and it hasn't been done. So anyway, we go off topic.
No, but back on the injuries, I think Munster might affect the Storm the most. I think he's that live wire. He's their best player. And I know they say Cameron Smith is, but he's their go-to guy, man. You can see it in games. He gets them back into a game. He can win them the game. He's a match winner.
Sets up the play, and Munster
so someone's got to step up to that
Yeah.
role. Do they have the capability? I don't know.
They've named Riley Jacks there.
I'm not sure. You know what? I'll say this before we move on. I think Parramatta's going to be all right. I think they might be even better without Mitchell Moses.
Well, who'd they replace him for?
Well, they got that Jai Field.
Field.
He's from the Dragons. But, man, it's not even that. I think Dylan Brown... Dylan Brown's going to benefit.
81 centimetres. This is a tall 5'8".
But I think Dylan Brown's going to step up easily.
Well, he has to. But I feel like it's much easier to run the show when, as much as we give shit to Moses, he's taking care of most of the kicking game right now, right? And that leaves Dylan Brown to focus on whatever he wants to do throughout the game, kind of just play his own game. Now, there's going to be a lot more eyes on Dylan Brown in regards to kicking. And if he has a few kicks that are not that great, it's going to be a bit, it's going to put pressure on him. And then it might even change the way he plays the game due to that pressure. I like Dylan Brown. I hope he does play good. I hope he does, develop his game even more and show it on the weekend. But it is going to be, the one thing we know is that it's going to be a test for him.
But like I said, when Moses came off, they were struggling. And then, mate, they shot to a big lead with Brown running the show there.
I heard Clint Gutherson called ranks and he took the field goal off Dylan Brown. What do you reckon about that?
He's just a show pony.
He just wants all glory, huh?
Like, I know he's a good guy, Clint Gutho. I would still wouldn't pick him for New South Wales.
Who would?
He can be the 18th man again. He does a good job of it.
He can be ball boy. How about that?
No. I don't want to. He's useful to a
Ball boy's
team.
a big job.
Look, man, I commend his leadership so far, but again, I don't see it. If it's all
where's my mate Solomon? And where,
listen. When it comes to the big games in the finals, and if they got to rely on Clint Gutherson, it's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying?
Who's this, Parramatta or New South Wales?
Parramatta.
Okay.
You think he's gonna make New South Wales? Maybe there's got to be about 5 injuries.
Who's the fullback for New South Wales? Teddy.
What
if he's injured?
Tom.
What if he's injured? I mean, they're 2 injury-prone players, so what if they're both injured?
Kotrick. Latrell.
You think they're going to give Latrell the fullback?
Yeah, he loves him, Freddie.
No, he doesn't. Yeah.
Freddie loves him. And if not him, put Josh Reynolds there.
I will not watch Origin if Josh Reynolds is
Chuck him in there, man. Who cares?
Put Josh Reynolds the 18th man, I wouldn't watch Origin.
Put him there, man. What? You get out of here, man. Let's move on. Broncos, Bulldogs. Another really bad week of results for them. Now, firstly, we didn't think that Brisbane would lose to the Titans, right?
I didn't think anyone would lose to the Titans.
Okay, and you didn't think that the Broncos, if they lost to the Titans, would get smashed by the Titans, right?
I think I started watching that game about 35 minutes in, and it was 20 to 6 or something like that. And I was like, what the hell is going on?
Look, Seibold almost got sacked this week. They let him stay. They're very, very, like, we talked about them last week in terms of off-field, about, how their processes are. But on the field, man, they're just crap to watch. I mean, I've never said that about a Brisbane team in my life. I always enjoy watching their games because they used to bring something to it, even against the big teams.
In regards to Brisbane, I think you've come to the point of the season where experiment, right? Experiment like you've never experimented before. And this is one experiment that I think Brisbane might be able to do. Brisbane's got a lot of players that can play in many different positions, right? I'm not liking Milford at 5'8".
I think, I'm with you.
I think he's better at fullback, right? So I think Milford should be at fullback, Dearden, 5'8", Asako on the wing, Corey Oates in the second row.
And Croft to 5'8".
And Croft to 5'8", right? I feel like it's going to help the Broncos a bit more. Milford is more of a ball runner than a playmaker at this point of his career. I feel like he's not doing much. So to give him the ball with, on a 3v3 situation or on a 4v3 situation. He'll be much more deadlier in that situation than he would be, trying to read the game. I really, really think that if Seibold, as Tony said last week, if he grows some balls and actually tries to do something with his team, they could bounce back from that. And this is broken, so you got to fix it. And you can't fix it by doing the same shit that you've been doing every single week. You need to be able to say, okay, this is not working for us. Milford's performances have not been up to scratch. And you know what? He's not a bad player. How about I use him at fullback instead? That's his natural position.
He keeps saying, Seibold, that they're understanding the message. They get him on message, but I don't know why they're not playing. Like, he's lost in that sense. But, like, if you're a coach and you see that, shouldn't you just ditch whatever you've been preaching? It's clearly not working with a team like that. Like, he has a way, we were talking about it before, he has this way of coaching. They brought him in the Broncos because it's a modern scientific style, you know what I mean? They wanted to get away from that Bennett era. Because Bennett's a cloud hanging over him, let's be fair. Yeah. They have never experienced success without Bennett. So Brisbane went with him because he offered a different way, and he kind of showed at South that, wow, this way works. Whatever he's doing, whatever the hell he's talking about, it works. The key thing is, in South, they're very experienced back then. Yeah. You had Inglis, Burgess, Reynolds, Walker. You had a really seasoned side there that could adapt to something else. You know what I mean? They had been coached very, very hard by a Maguire. Put a lot of structure in, and he came in and he was like, all right, I'm going to put this in and trying to tweak it a little bit. And it worked because it kind of brought them back to what they experienced before when they were contending for premierships. Now he goes to Brisbane. He gets rid of all the guys that have experience.
Except Boyd
for some reason, and he tries to implement that same strategy with a Wayne Bennett team. Who Wayne Bennett's not a structure coach. He's about playing for the jersey, playing for each other. It's all like emotional with him.
It's personal. What's the word?
Man management.
He gives everyone a goal to reach at the end of the season.
100%.
I remember when he first came into St George, I had somebody that I knew that was a trainer for they were a trainer for Newtown Jets when St George was their feeder club, and I remember Wayman. Yeah, he gave him a goal to be the best forward that season. And he became the best forward that season. And he challenges their players, Yeah. He challenges them saying, if you guys do this, we'll be there at the end of the season. We'll come to that point where in the grand final, we can win it. But you guys have to show me at your end that you're going to do it. So he's really, really good at that. He's really good at getting players to believe in him and his message. Seibold, not only does he bring a system that's maybe modern, maybe scientific, whatever, but he's too nice. I don't feel like he would he wants to be mates with the players, eh?
Yeah, not mates, but he just wants to make them happy, make sure they're comfortable, whatever. But at the end of the day, if that's not getting you results, you got to change up the way you do things. You got to change up your message. You can't come to press conferences and say, "Oh, I don't know what's going on." Did you say Todd Payton, the Warriors coach, after they lost 50-6?
No.
It's his first game. He was pissed because Craig Bellamy and Cameron Smith came in there. He didn't give a crap. Why would he want him in there after that, right? And in the press conference, he laid down the law to him. He laid down a line in the sand. He goes, this is not acceptable. I don't care if this is my first game coaching. We should be playing for our families back home. We should be playing with an emotional charge, you know what I'm saying? But for him to say that at a press conference in front of the media, not trying to coddle or protect his players, he laid down the challenge to them there. I think they might respond.
Yeah. You can only go, you can protect your players to a certain point, but when you feel like they are not doing what you want them to do, or they are doing what you want them to do, but again, Seibold, he's saying that they're doing what he wants them to do, sorry.
But it's not working. Okay, so what? But that means they're actually not understanding the message. Because I can tell you, if you coach a team and you explain something really complex to them, what else are they going to say? We don't understand? No, they're just going to nod their head and let's go do it.
Yeah.
And let's just try and figure it out on the field. He has to be unselfish in a way. Step back a little bit. Either get different assistant coaches. We've been hearing that, Steve Kearney, the old Warriors coach, might come in and help, or Kevin Walters. Either get new assistant coaches, or if he's really, I feel like the way he coaches, I think he's very hands-on on it, then take a step back. Get other people involved a bit more, you know what I mean? Let them hear a different message from a different voice. How can you be the only team I mean, everyone got affected at the end of the day, yeah? How can you be the only team that doesn't adapt to this new rule? You know, the faster play. I don't understand.
Who's their hooker? Because I've realised that
It's Isaac Luke now, but it was Corey Pace. They lost him. They lost him during the COVID period. Jake Turpin. He hasn't played this whole time. Don't get me wrong. They got injuries and stuff. I get that. But it's like the effort. It's not there.
I feel like it's there from the forwards.
Payne Haas has been amazing, man. The GOAT.
He's the GOAT, to be honest.
But no one is helping him.
I'm just going to go, if we're looking for a solution here short term, I think it's just going to be shuffling up the back line and putting Milford into fullback. Get Asaka on the wing, Corey Oates in the second row, where he always wants to play, and Dearden at 5'8", or Dearden at halfback, whichever.
It might spark something. It might change something for him.
He's a natural halfback or a natural 5'8".
And the thing is, we get it. Like, he got rid of a lot of those older players because maybe they said, well, they gave him a 5-year contract. They said, we want you to rejuvenate the squad, make it younger, bring up the kids that we've got, the talented kids we've got. They're in it for the long haul. I don't think he thought it was going to get this bad, but... So if you know you got the back end of them for 5 years, then try something different. Let's move on to the Dogs quickly. Forgot about the Dogs. I don't really want to talk about them.
I don't want to talk about them either.
But look, the thing is, for me with them, it's very similar. Their play style is terrible, man. I don't even want to watch it. You got Luke Thompson coming in now, and I feel so bad for Luke Thompson because he's coming into a team and they're gonna expect a lot of special things from this bloke, but he's just a forward, man. At the end of the day, he can only do so much. He's the only exciting part for the Dogs right now.
The last, 3 signings we've made have been big forwards?
Yeah.
And what have they done? What has it accomplished?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
That's why I feel bad for this guy.
And it's true. It's going to be really bad. Unless Dean Pay gets sacked, and even these Bulldogs players need to pull their head out of their asses. So excuse the French. They've got to fix themselves, because right now I'm not going to put all the blame on Dean Pay, because when Des Hasler was there, they were playing rubbish too. I feel like the halves are just lacking creativity. Hopewadi has just started playing a bit more creative, and then he got injured. So who's going to be at fullback? Nick Meaney?
I think Dallon's going back.
Dallon, okay. Dallon hasn't really impressed me at fullback. I'd rather him as a winger. The Bulldogs need to fix that spine. They need to get a proper number 9. I feel like Jerry Marshall King would be better at 5'8" than whoever they've got.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I don't. I feel like Bulldogs is a issue that will not be fixed in the next 2 seasons. So this season and next season, it won't be fixed.
Well, but they've got $3 million in the bank to spend this off season. But what my point is here, Dean Pay's going to stay. Who's going to come to the club? Who's going to be willing to sign with us? You know, who's he going to attract? Which big player's going to come?
Well, I mean, if the Bulldogs don't replace Dean Pay by...
This is last year.
Next month or 2. You know what? I'll even give him to the end of the season, right? They'll have all the off-seasons to figure it out. But if they don't replace him, no one's going to want to come. Think about all these players that they were linked with. They were linked with Curacao. Didn't go. Why do you think he didn't go?
I'm not sure.
Oh, would you go?
To the Dogs?
Yeah.
Not
the way
really.
they're playing. Somebody's offering you 600,000 and Bulldogs offer you 700. Would you go?
Unless you're Andrew Johns, I
don't think Andrew Johns will go.
The thing is, but you got John Bateman confirmed that he's off contract. I know, but I'm saying that kind of quality of player, he's a great player.
He's a good player. I don't think he's coming Bulldogs.
I know he's not, but I'm saying, would he even consider it?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
I think he's leaving Canberra because he can see them going downhill. Because Canberra's not a great place to live. It's a quiet place. I mean, I know he's got a daughter and everything and all that, so he's probably not into that life. But I'm sure he'd love to live in a CBD society.
Or go back home.
Or go back home. You know, it's something that he probably. I mean, how old is he? 27?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
He's getting towards the end of his career. NRL don't offer as much as England. So possibility of him going back to where he's from and getting probably double as what he's getting here. He's come to NRL. He made a grand final. He did what he set out probably to accomplish, was playing the best league in the world. He did it.
He proved himself.
Became one of the best, one of the top second rows in the game. And then he's like, okay, I'm good. I want my money now.
I think the Roosters will find a bid in their cap to get him in, bro. I think
for Radley.
Just put him on the bench. Just come off the bench. Maybe
400k for the rest of the season.
Why not? Why not?
Would he take it though for a premiership chance?
Yeah, serious? I would. Come on, man.
let's talk coach-wise for Bulldogs, right? Which coach do they need to get? Because the state that they're in, I'd love to have Trent Barrett, but Trent Barrett would be like a 3-year, 4-year build, right? They won't be able to do much with that salary cap.
Who's he going to attract as well?
That's the thing, right? So I personally wouldn't mind if Trent Barrett came in, spent the $3 million wisely on good young players, and get the Bulldogs back into a top 8 squad in the next 3 years, right? That's something because if you bring somebody like Trent Barrett and he goes and spends $3 million on 4 players, I feel like that's a waste. Unless they're great players.
Who's available?
If somebody's worth $700,000 to a normal team, like a top 8 team, they're going to be worth $1 million to Bulldogs because they're not going to want to come. Bulldogs are going to have to pay that extra, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather have Bulldogs splash their money on big names that they're going to overpay for, or have them spent on younger players who are showing a lot more prospect and maybe coming out of their first contract? Do you reckon which way would you go if you were the CEO of the Bulldogs?
I'll bring Bennett in and sign Darius Boyd.
Oh, that's probably...
No, honestly, but obviously you want to get a coach that can promote a exciting playing style, you know what I mean? Something that the players would get up for. That's firstly, you want to get the right coach in. And then, if you're going to commit to a rebuild, then do it. Don't go half in, half out.
What would you do?
I'd go. I'll get the young coach in. Someone that can actually promote a really good style of football.
And do a rebuild?
Yeah, just do a rebuild.
Just splash the money on the big players.
But who's available in terms of big players? All I can think of is John Bateman. I can't think of anyone else. There's not much. We need halves. We need the spine players. Ben Hunt's coming off. Would you take a Ben Hunt at dummy half?
At dummy half? Probably not for the money that he probably wants.
No, he's not going to get that, but he'll probably get half of that. Would you pay
500k?
600k, whatever.
No.
See what I mean?
He's not a natural.
Someone will,
but
someone will. You know what I mean?
This topic's giving me a headache.
Let's move on. All right. Look, we're talking about Canberra, and I want to focus on underwhelming buys. All right, so far this season.
Okay.
There's been a couple. Curtis Scott. He's been really bad. He's apparently, statistically, cost Canberra 50% of their tries.
What wing is he on?
He's on the right. He's playing right centre. I'm pretty
Rapana?
sure. With Rapana swapped.
I didn't want to play with him. So who's he playing with?
Kotrick. But they brought him in to replace Joey Leilua, who they thought was just replaceable. And it's been...
I can't believe they let go of Joey.
And it's cost
regardless of whether
time.
Joey Leilua was a good player or not, he began the surge of making Canberra that team to watch. Him and Rapana.
He's a match winner.
That winner. Those combination.
They were match winners.
Yeah, they were probably the most feed wing in the world.
Yeah, just remember they got rid of Rapana. And he came back because he couldn't go play in Japan. Remember?
No.
They got rid of him as well. They got rid of Rapana, Leilua, and Caesar. What?
I don't... you make the grand final.
Oh, my God.
You probably should have won the grand final if it wasn't for that 6 again rule.
Yeah.
And then you
get rid of the important parts of the team?
Probably Caesar, the only kicker. He probably did the majority of the kicking last year.
They've lost that.
And then you get rid of Leilua and Rapana, which Rapana came back, but you got rid of Leilua. And Leilua, there are wingers and centers in the game who are deadly when you're 10 meters out, right? Leilua and Rapana were deadly at anywhere in the field.
100% they were.
Right? And if you let's say you take away their abilities, they drew in a crowd for Canberra. They're the ones that probably led that charge and got the people like Tarpany and all that to become those big enforcers, Without Rapana and Leilua, it's so weird thinking of it as a winger and a centre, being enforcers, but they built that culture around there for Canberra. I mean, before that, Canberra were a nice team. They weren't nice when Rapana and Leilua were there. No. They were like, we're not backing down to anyone. And good on them. I mean, I'm sure a lot of Canberra fans like that because they were sick of being ran over every single week and every year. And these guys brought that culture. And then now I feel like they're trying to keep it. I see it in some games, but it's not working as much as that it was last season. And honestly, I feel like it's going to be very hard for them to recover. And that's why I don't think, like I said last week, I don't think they're a top 8 team. They've lost too many of their key important players that they have not replaced sufficiently enough.
Well, they think they have. They think they have.
Well,
Curtis Scott.
I think they're realising... They think they have maybe at the start of the season, but I think they're realising now that we've lost a lot.
Well, there's another Curtis Scott is another Melbourne discard. He was in their starting side. They were happy to let him go because, he wasn't doing a job. And there was a reason for it. Melbourne let go of players for a reason. The thing is, Ricky thought he could probably get the best out of Curtis Scott, playing in a different environment.
I mean, let's be... Like, I know we have a thing about Curtis Scott, right? But
I've got nothing against him, but he's been poor. He's been really poor. I'm going to call it.
We've got to remember.
I'm going to call it out. What about...
It's only been 7 rounds. So
that's why I said so far. It's a third of the season through. He's been poor.
Ricky Stewart might be able to still bring the best out of him.
Maybe. If anyone can, it's him.
To be fair, I don't rate Kotrick as a defender. So that wing, there's probably... maybe Scott is taking a lot of the blame for what Kotrick does. I feel like Kotrick gets caught in no man's land a lot of times. But if you're looking at most underwhelming buys of the season so far, you probably have to put Brodie Croft in that scenario too. He's been a little underwhelming for the Broncos. Who else?
George Williams, I think.
Another Canberra one, yeah.
Man, especially last week.
We didn't really know what we were expecting from him, though. That's the thing.
Thing is, he's kind of like still stuck in that Super League mentality, He thinks he can beat that defender and make something, create something out of nothing.
NRL's too defensive.
Different, man. I think he's realising it's a bit different.
Another one probably is Danny Levi.
Yeah.
It's a little unfair because he wasn't supposed to be that hooker. It was Manasi Fainu that was supposed to be that hooker.
Supposed to be the backup, yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't even supposed to be... I think they only got him because of what happened with Manase.
Yeah.
And, he got thrown in there early. But I just feel like he's trying to do too much. Why is Cameron Smith the best hooker in the game? Still at the age of, what is he, 38?
He's 38.
38. Why is he still the best hooker in the game?
You tell me.
It's because he doesn't go out looking for plays. He plays what's in front of him. And a lot of David House back in the day used to try to conjure something out of nothing. They'll be like, my team needs something, so I'm going to do something, right? And a lot of the times it never worked out. Sometimes it would. A lot of the times it didn't. The thing I'm liking about the new modern day hooker is they know what they need to do. They need to feed their forwards, feed their halfbacks, and when the situation occurs, pounce on it. If the whole game comes and the markers are not and the markers are square, I've seen dummy halves that literally just, okay, it's not about me. It's not about me changing the game. It's about getting our team in a situation to win. That's what Cameron Smith does really well. Manasti Fainu started doing that really well. Api Kurosawa started doing it really well. Damien Cook does it really well. The only difference with Damien Cook is he's really, really quick.
Yeah.
So he can sniff out chances that the other three can't sniff out because of his speed. You know what I mean? So Danny Levi's got to understand that. I know there's a lot of injuries at Manly, but you've got to just do the simple things right as a hooker. And when you see an opportunity, then you pounce. Don't pounce on a situation. Don't try to change the game in one play. I feel like that's what he's been doing over the last couple of weeks, and that's why he's come onto this underwhelming buys of the season. But we wish him all the best. These players.
I think he can get better, but I think he'll eventually get it. He'll understand how they play. Like you said, it's a bit early. He's probably still getting used to that 6 again as well, figuring that out.
Well, I think he got excited about that. I think he got excited about that 6 again, and he's like, okay, I can really
do it all the time. Get out of dummy half all the time. Yeah, you can't. Let's move on there. Round 8 of the Premiership. Let's go straight to Friday, 6 p.m. Raiders Dragons. That's an interesting game. It's going to be Canberra's first game at home. I think that's going to be a big plus for them. They've been apparently not happy with the fact that they keep going to Campbelltown. They don't get to play at home, so it might be a good change for them. Obviously, we talk about Corey Horsburgh's out. Joe Tapanick returns. Jordan Rapana is out as well. So Michael Oldfield comes in. And Bailey Simonson comes in for Curtis Scott. Dragons, no changes. I'm going to go Canberra this one.
I was impressed with how Dragons played against the Roosters, to be honest.
They were pretty good.
They were 10-all at one point, right? I mean, Roosters had a 10-0 lead. And they
12-10, actually. They were
12-10. That's not an easy thing to do against the Roosters. So I'm really impressed with Dragons. And in regards to Canberra, I feel like Parramatta let them back into that game. They had no reason to be back in that game. They've lost some players, Rapana and Hosborough, and I don't know. Just looking at their probably go Dragons.
It's funny because they're going back home and they're happy about it, but Dragons are their bogey team when they play them at home. So You know, it might come back to backfire on them. Friday night, 8 o'clock, Eels, Cowboys. This is going to be an interesting game. Obviously, so Mitchell Moses out for a couple of weeks, and Jai Field replaces him. David Gower apparently will get a run as well. For the Cowboys, Val Holmes is still out. He's been named in the reserves. It might be a chance.
Let's be honest, Valentine Holmes playing. If he's in the reserves, he's playing.
Maybe. But they did pretty well against the Knights last week. That first half, they dominated them.
I don't know how they got to that scoreline with the Knights. I don't know what the Knights were doing.
You know what they did well? They kicked it on last. If they got to over the halfway line, they'd kick it to the sideline. They wouldn't let Ponga return it. So Ponga had half the touches, half the meters. That took him out of the game. So that helped a lot. So there was a game plan there, and it worked. I think Para will win. Don't get me wrong. I think Para will win.
Yeah, I think Para will win. And the frustrating thing about that is that I remember speaking about it last week about how I tipped the Cowboys. Other than last week, I tipped them 3 weeks prior to that, and they lost every single game. And I go, surely they're not going to lose. They're not going to beat Newcastle. So I tipped Newcastle, and they beat Newcastle.
There you go.
So Cowboys are a team that I cannot get right. So for that reason, I'm tipping Parramatta because I hope they beat Parramatta.
So you're going to jinx
prove
them.
me wrong. I hope. Look, at the end of the day, if Parramatta win, I got my tip right. If Parramatta lose, I'm a bit happy.
I hope. Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock, Titans Sharks. Another really interesting game for me. Tyrone Peachy starts at centre, and Bryce Cara comes back onto the bench. Sharks, Andrew Fafita starting at prop. Hamlin Uele goes back to the bench. They both came off really good wins last week. It's going to be interesting. It's on the Gold Coast. Their first home game of the season. Just a tough one to pick. I'll be honest with you.
I'm not going to fall for this Gold Coast hype. I feel like they've got to prove themselves one more week to me before I can start tipping them again. So I'm going to go Cronulla.
Look, I think the Sharks...
Katoa's playing good.
Sharks, yeah, he is. But the Sharks, they're on a bit of a run. They beat the Bulldogs. They beat Manly, albeit they had injuries. And now they've got the Titans. And I think next week they might have the Warriors. They've got a really good run of games. It's probably the easiest run of games anyone can have. If they're going to be a threat to the 8 this year, they've got to win, right? If they're serious about this year, they've got to win this. So we'll go Cronulla. You should think they would be. 5:30, another really interesting game. It's on the Central Coast.
How are Broncos still favourites?
It's the Warriors versus the Broncos. Warriors were really poor last week. Bronco, mate, they shouldn't even be allowed. Shouldn't even be allowed to bet or tip this game. Should not be allowed to.
Warriors
That's how horrible they are.
Melbourne. Brisbane lost to Gold Coast. I don't get how they're that much favourites. They're over $1.10.
I think Roger's named, but I think Roger's suspended. So that's going to be a big out if that's the case. And the Broncos.
I mean, but if it's
did they make a change? They took Corey Oates out, but they left Boyd in. Yep.
Well, look, you were talking about the Warriors coach, putting the responsibility on the players and trying to get them to own up for what they've been doing. If they're going to respond any week, it's going to be this week.
It's a perfect game.
It's the perfect game for them to respond to, right? So, having said that, I'm going to go for Warriors.
So you're going to go the Warriors?
I'm gonna. This is going to be my asterisk round where I just pick the one that makes no sense.
For me, man, if Roger doesn't play, I don't think they win. So if Roger's out, I'm going to go Broncos. If he's playing, I'm with you. I'll go Warriors. Saturday, 7:30 at Bankwest. Big game. Tigers on a really good winning run against the Panthers. Another team on a really good winning run. Something's got to give here.
Oh, we can't really classify the Tigers and the Panthers in the same category.
No, but I'm talking about on the run. They're on the same winning. They're on a really good winning run.
Watch Tigers win.
Oh, there you go. Tigers unchanged, and Josh Mansell comes in for Brent Naden, who's unlucky, to be honest, because he played really well last week.
I don't get why he's out. Fire is a really good player, right? But I feel like Naden offers a bit more than Fire, you know what I mean? I feel like Fire is a really, really good player. If Naden gets injured, slots in perfectly, right?
Yeah.
But I said it at the start, don't fix something that's not broken. And honestly, Panthers are playing really, really good at the moment.
You don't think the Tigers are playing well? I think they're playing really well.
Who have they versed, though? That's
I know, I understand.
They versed Bulldogs last week. They pumped them, fair enough. The week before that, they versed Cowboys, who are going through a really, really bad patch. And the week before that, they versed Canberra, which they lost to 14-6, and Canberra haven't been playing great. And the week before that, they lost to the Titans.
But that was that was a turning point for them. That was a turning point. They came up against Canberra, who is pretty tough, who I still rate. I think they're a tough side. And defensively, they played well. And I think the last 2 wins have been good. All
Look,
I'm saying is they're confident.
We all agree Canberra's a good side. They're a tough side. It's just they lack creativity.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the issue for this season. That's why they're going to struggle to make top 8, right? But when we come to Tigers, right, the way that we're looking at how everything's gone, this should be fairly routine for Penrith. It should be.
I think it'll be tough.
It could be tough, but
think it'll
it
be close.
should be fairly routine. Penrith need to fix their second half. That's one thing. I feel like they get out on front in the first half and they play really, really good. And then they go through like a 10, 15-minute bad patch in the second half. And credit to them, in the last couple of weeks, they've picked up that bad patch and they've come back with tries, which was something that they struggled to do early on in the season. But they've got to get rid of that bad patch in defence in the second half altogether for them to be a real contender. Who do I pick here? I pick Penrith, and solely because if we're going to talk about it, they are a top 4 team. The way they're playing right now. Tigers are not.
Listen, man. There were a couple of results last week I thought wouldn't happen, and they happened.
That's true.
I'm going to tip a upset. I think Tigers can win. Seagulls Knights Sunday afternoon 4:00. This is a big game for both teams. Coming off really bad losses. Knights think they're unchanged. Yeah, Bradman Best returns because he was in quarantine. Herman SASA comes back. Glasby goes out. They were 2 big losses for them last week in hindsight. Sea Eagles obviously got all those injuries. Sully, I think, comes back in, so that's a big in for them. Garrick's at the back. It's going to be tough for the Manly Sea Eagles. It's at Brookie. They're back at Brookie, so that might be a big plus. Tough one to pick. I'm going to go Knights. Manly can win, but I think Knights might have the edge over them.
I think last week's performance by Manly was a result of the injuries that happened so quickly. They would have had now 2 weeks to train with those players, and I'm hoping that they can come back and show us. Maybe they won't win, but it'll be a really close game. But I'll tip Manly for the sake of tipping. Sunday
night, Bulldogs Rabbitohs. Bulldogs. Will Hopewadi's out, obviously.
Yep.
Jake Averilla's out. Montoya comes back in. Kerrod Holland is on the bench again. And James Roberts starts for the Rabbitohs. I think Rabbitohs.
Luke Thompson's in reserves.
Sorry, Luke Thompson, but I don't think he'll play. I don't know if he'll play, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think he will either.
So I'll
go Rabbits here.
All right, and match of the round.
Take us all the way back to Thursday.
Thursday night. That's why we left it to last. It's a big game. You thought we all forgot, huh? You thought we forgot. Tia. Storm, Roosters. The 2 best sides, I'd say, of the last decade. Obviously, Roosters reeling from the loss of Victor Radley and Sam Verrills. But they covered it pretty well. Nat Butcher goes into lock. And Lindsay Collins comes back into the side. Melbourne Storm, Cameron Munster's out. And Riley Jacks comes into the halves. Mm-hmm. So both key outs. It's really who's going to be more affected. And I think the Storm might be affected a bit more.
Yeah, I think so too. I think especially all bar if Tedesco...
Tedesco's back in. Yeah. Josh Morris is back in. Sorry, I forgot about that.
I didn't know that they had a Fafita too. Daniel Fafita?
I'm not sure. He's on the reserves.
For me, I think it'll be an interesting game. But I think, with Teddy there, I think Roosters will win. Probably be, I'll say 1-12. It's
at Suncorp. It's a bit weird.
If they win 13 plus,
they love playing there.
If they win 13 plus, I'll be really impressed.
Roosters?
Yeah.
I think they should win a bit easy here, just in terms of who they've got.
It's never easy with
them. No, it's never easy.
Sometimes it is
it's
easy
never
with them,
easy,
but you never expect it to be easy.
But I think they should win. I mean, just based on that.
Yeah.
That fact that who's
I think they should win 1-12. But I want to say 1-12 because I expect Melbourne to put a fight.
Well, it's going to be a big game. Thursday night, don't forget. I know we left it to last. That was our match of the week. Other than that, any bold predictions for this weekend?
Dylan Brown to play a good game.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
He's going to lead them to victory,
you
man.
Reckon?
He's better than Moses. I'm telling you, he's better than Moses.
Let's all hope that that's true.
Nah, it's all right. Thanks for listening. Again, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. SoundCloud.
Why did we pick SoundCloud, by the way?
Huh?
Like, we had the 2 big ones, Apple and Spotify. Why did we go SoundCloud too?
I'm not sure. I thought maybe people go there. They don't. But YouTube, we'll be on YouTube as well. Not video, again, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we will.
Guys, if you like what you've heard, though, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And,
just help us
give
out.
us
Help
some feedback,
help
Let us know who's the most annoying guy on this podcast.
help the lads out. For me, it's Zach, and he hasn't been on for 2 weeks.
It's probably the most annoying thing I've heard all day.
Thanks, Abbas.
Cheers, Sol.
All right, see you next week.